Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2. Josh, can you hear me? 1, 2. We got you. Josh, do you hear me? 1, 2. Josh? 1, 2. Hold on, let's get you in the right room.
Test, test.
Check, check. You hear me? Josh? 1, 2, 1, 2. Do you hear me?
I
1.
hear you loud and clear. Test, test.
Great, thanks.
I'd like to call the November 21st, 2023 Board of Commissioners business meeting to order. As usual, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, Dave Richard, one of our public work employees who has dedicated 50 years of work to the township, will lead us in the pledge. Dave?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dave. Deanna, will you do the roll call, please?
Denise Hall, President.
Here.
Catherine Carter, Vice President.
Here.
Liz McNaney, Commissioner.
Here.
Martha Similera, Commissioner. Sandra Zadell, Township Manager.
Here.
Megan Weaver, Assistant Township Manager.
Here.
Lauren Gallagher, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Isaac Kessler, Township Engineer.
Here.
David Duffy, Chief of Police.
Here.
Nathan Crittenden, Finance Director. And it is noted Commissioner Ruth Damsker and Zoning Officer Van Reeker are absent.
Thank you, Deanna. Lauren, were there any executive sessions?
The board did meet in executive session earlier this evening to discuss matters of potential litigation.
Thank you, Lauren. I will now turn the meeting over to Commissioner McNaney.
Hi, good evening. Tonight, number 5 on our agenda is the recognition of John Chabala for 40 years of service to the township. Unfortunately, John's not able to be here with us this evening, but Sarah Priebus, our Parks and Rec Director, wrote a few kind words to say about John. So, Upper Gwynedd cannot thank John Chabala enough for his longtime dedication and commitment to the township. He currently holds the Park and Recreation Foreman position for us. 40 years ago, the #1 song on the Billboard music chart was Every Breath You Take by the Police. Probably a lot of the people standing in this room never even heard of that song. No, that's a little side note there. And the #1 movie in the U.S. was Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Kids were playing with Rubik's Cubes, Cabbage Patch Kids, and John Chabala started at Upper Gwynedd Township. 40 years ago, John's favorite part of the park, the castle did not stand at Parkside Place. Upper Gwynedd did not have a park and rec department, and the township had a population of only 9,000. Gwynedd Square Elementary School did not exist, and in 1983, the North Penn Marketplace Shopping Center, where the Weiss is, was just opening. To see how far Upper Gwynedd has come in 40 years and to give their career to Upper Gwynedd is incredible. Thank you, John, for helping develop what this township is today. John Chabala's vast knowledge is a tremendous asset to our township, and his dedication is like no other. After all these years, John still comes to work every day with a smile and has not slowed down. John is one of the most dedicated employees at Upper Gwynedd Township. He has thrown his heart and soul into these 40 years, and we are so lucky to have his knowledge, his compassion, and his dedication. We wanted to express our personal appreciation for John's achievement of this 40-year milestone. Loyal and dedicated employees like you are the foundation to our township. So congratulations to John on 40 years.
Thank you, Commissioner McNaney. Speaking of celebrating many years of service to our township, Dave Richard is celebrating 50 years. We are thrilled to honor this incredible accomplishment, and it is my honor to read the following proclamation. Whereas Dave Richard began his career in the Public Works Department at Upper Gwynedd Township on November 5th, 1973, he is the first employee to reach the milestone of 50 years of service. And whereas 50 years ago, there were approximately 7,000 residents in Upper Gwynedd, Public Works had a staff of 4, and gas was 39 cents a gallon. Today, there are over 17,000 residents in Upper Gwynedd. Public Works has a staff of 11. Gas is $4 a gallon. on a good day. And Dave Richard is still serving the township. And whereas Dave was promoted to Public Works Foreman in 1983, as foreman, he is responsible for overseeing and leading the work of the Public Works Department, providing both guidance and mentorship for the crew from the beginning of the projects through completion. And whereas Dave also oversees schedules, ensuring that all projects are executed efficiently and adhere to relevant safety, environmental, and regulatory standards. And whereas Dave provides updates to higher management on all work performed to ensure it is communicated to the public in a timely manner. And whereas Dave is also responsible for a multitude of other duties, including payroll administration, employee timekeeping, ordering supplies, gas and diesel for the department. And whereas Dave is a dedicated family man to his wife, Marianne, and son, Zach, he is an avid Philly sports team fan, and he likes to garden and keep busy around his house. And whereas Dave accomplished all the above by building strong community relationships with residents and lifelong friendships with co-workers, all while maintaining his witty sense of humor. And whereas the Board of Commissioners of Upper Gwynedd Township wishes to express their thanks to Dave Richard and congratulate him on an outstanding career in public works and service to the community. And now therefore be it resolved that the Upper Gwynedd Township Board of Commissioners does hereby endorse and approve this proclamation as a tribute to Dave Richard, resolved this 21st day of November, 2023. Dave Richard, please come on up.
Thank you.
I just want everyone to know that he also plowed over 90 feet of snow, over 1,000 inches. I did the calculations from snow from 1973 to today. So thank you, Dave.
One more time, everybody. Thank you so much, Dave. Also, Dave, you don't have to stay for this long meeting. I will now turn the meeting over to Chief Duffy.
Good evening. We're here to recognize 10 individuals who worked as a team to revive one of our township residents who is in full cardiac arrest. These are members of the police department, North Penn Fire Company, Upper Gwynedd Fire Department, and VMSC Emergency Medical Services. So while these 10 people are being recognized, this is just one example of many of how our 4 departments work together on a regular basis. I'm very proud to work with all 3 chiefs. Chief Trainer's not up here with me yet because he is one of the recipients. So not just as the chief of the fire company with all the things that he's responsible for on this call and many other calls, I've seen him get directly involved in life-saving efforts and fire prevention, and he's out on the street with his firefighters all the time. Chief Geiger's full-time job as a detective with Hatfield Police with all the responsibilities of that. I see him with the fire company all the time, with the fire department, on calls, leading his firefighters and doing a great job. Chief Wheeler, now in charge of over 90 full-time people at VMSC, still comes out and goes on calls and is directly involved in his duties as a paramedic. So very proud to work with all of you. Before I go on, I'm just going to pass the mic to these chiefs for a second.
As Chief Duffy said, the teamwork that it takes to do something like this. One thing to note, at least for Upper Gwynedd Fire Department, in the last just over 2 years, this is the second time this has happened. Statistically speaking, it's not usual, right? We do this. It's multiple times that we go out for events that people are in cardiac arrest. However, statistically speaking, we're not really good at it. This time we showed we're good at it, right? And that's a good thing. So I can't be prouder to be standing up here in front of all the public safety team in Upper Gwynedd Township on behalf of the 4 of us, soon to be 4 of us up here, to recognize the efforts of, for the most part, a volunteer system with the support from VMSC and the professionals over there. So I couldn't be more prouder, and I appreciate y'all coming out tonight.
Let me just correct the chief there. I see a room full of professionals, whether they get paid or they do it for the kindness and generosity of their heart. We are blessed in these communities in North Penn to have such just fantastic first responders that just show up and just all in, from our law enforcement to our firefighters and our EMTs and paramedics. One thing that I just want to highlight is we just had our 90th year banquet celebration, and we presented our life-saving awards. And we, in the last year, have had 8 of these events. 8. We run about 15,000 ambulance calls a year, and we had 8 people that are home celebrating this upcoming holiday, this Thanksgiving. So you matter, right? What we do matters. We matter to those families who are going to get to spend this holiday with someone who is gone, just gone. They were dead, and through outstanding training, skill, they're going to be celebrating their family. So that's just a hats off to everybody that laces them up every day and goes out there and answers that call. It's what we do, right? And what you do matters.
All right, so I'm going to read the commendation. It's worded to the entire team, and then we'll call up individual people to be recognized. Whereas on October 9th, 2023, at approximately 1825, Upper Gwynedd Police and Upper Gwynedd Fire Department responded to a report of an unconscious person at a home in the township. It was learned that an adult male had collapsed in the kitchen, and the caller, the subject's wife, was unsure if he was breathing. Upper Gwynedd police officers arrived within 2 minutes of the call, followed by members of the Upper Gwynedd Fire Department moments later. Whereas Sergeant John Brinkman and Officer Michael Romanowitz determined the male had agonal breathing, then went into full cardiac arrest. They immediately began CPR. Whereas Upper Gwynedd Fire Department members, Lieutenant Amanda Hode, firefighter emergency medical technician Ryan Meehan, Lieutenant Daniel Infusino, firefighter Sean Cotty, and firefighter Jeff Gold arrived on scene and began life-saving measures, which included setting up oxygen, establishing an airway, and providing compressions. Lieutenant Hode attached an automatic external defibrillator to the patient, which resulted in 2 shocks being delivered. North Penn Fire Company members and their chief, Matthew Trainer, arrived to assist. Chief Trainer began monitoring the patient's pulse and provided chest compressions as needed. Volunteer Medical Service Corps emergency medical service members arrived on scene. Paramedic Mariah Cox and emergency medical technician Aubrey Wilcox stabilized the patient and prepared him for transport to the hospital. Whereas because of these first responders' quick team efforts, the patient was revived and after hospitalization fully recovered. Therefore, the aforelisted members of the Upper Gwynedd Police and Fire Departments, North Penn Fire Company, and Volunteer Medical Service Corps Emergency Medical Services are recognized for this life-saving commendation for their quick actions and teamwork ultimately led to the successful treatment and recovery of a person who is in cardiac arrest. So, I'd like to first call up Sergeant Brinkman and Officer Romanowitz. Chief Matt Trainer.
Guys, you have to come and shake our hands. Come on.
Firefighter Jeff Gold. Firefighter T. Ryan Meehan. Firefighter Sean Cotty. And Lieutenant Dan Infusino.
Paramedic Mariah Cox. You need that. Bobby Wilcox.
Okay, the person who was revived in this event did not want to be recognized here, but did provide me with a letter to be read out here, which I will do now. Thank you, Chief Duffy, for putting this event together and for the service you provide to the community. Last month, I experienced something we all hope to avoid, a cardiac arrest. The fact that I am alive and well and able to give thanks is due to some truly incredible individuals. Firstly, I must offer the most heartfelt thanks to my wife. In a moment of crisis, she remained calm and acted quickly. She called 911 and started chest compressions, actions that all the professionals said involved agreed helped save my life. I must also offer deeply felt gratitude to the first responders who arrived and took over my care. Without their heroic actions, I would not be here today. I know it's a cliche, but that doesn't mean it isn't true. That words can't express the depth of my sincerity, my gratefulness to them for their actions. I think these first responders would say it was their training that kicked in and they were just doing their job. While that may be true, please allow me to add my words of praise and thanks. I'm grateful they had such outstanding training and were so very good at their jobs. Their modesty cannot hide behind the information I received from my doctors, which is only 11% of people who suffer cardiac arrest outside of a hospital survive. So in this season of Thanksgiving, please accept mine and my family's heartfelt thank you for your actions. You're a credit to our community, and we should all be grateful for your protection and service. Thank you. Look at you guys. Come up there. Photo op.
You can't see us, I don't think.
We have to.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Nice to see you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Finally, a woman. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Another woman. Thank you. Congratulations.
Amanda couldn't make it.
Oh, she's probably working. She works so much around the clock. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Clearing the room.
Thank you for coming, everyone. All right. Moving right along. Next up to speak this evening is Jackie Baxter Rollins, who is the Executive Director of the Partnership TMA.
Light is green. Light is green. Where I go. So we're super thankful to be here today. Talk a little bit about the Bike Lane Advisory Committee that met for the second time last week. Several residents and a Merck employee were involved with the committee. But before I talk about the meeting last week, I want to put a little bit of context for those of you who are not familiar with this project. The plan is to add bike lanes to South Broad Street in order to connect down to the bike lanes that already exist on Morris Road. The township owns approximately 1 mile of roadway that connects down to Morris Road, and then the county owns the next mile of roadway, followed by Lansdale Borough up to the center of Lansdale, and then PennDOT north of Lansdale. So it's a little bit complicated. However, the connectivity value that it's going to provide an improved safety for all road users, not just bicyclists, is going to be extremely valuable. We wanted to put out the plans to the residents of Upper Gwynedd at Fall Fest this year, which we did. We showed the engineering engineering plans, I should say, and answered questions and asked the residents and attendees to show us how they felt about this proposed plan. We engaged with more than 100 people, and there was overwhelming support for these new bike lanes to go in. So that was great. Then working last week with the Bike Lane Advisory Committee, which comprised residents, employees, representatives from the Board of Commissioners and the Township Manager. We had a really robust discussion and engagement over the subject because we want to have people well prepared and questions answered ahead of time before the striping happens during the project next year. So that's a little bit about the project itself. I'm here from the Partnership TMA, your local transportation management association, which is a non-profit. We provide a range of transportation-related programs and services. And I have a plaque of appreciation to present to the township this evening. This year is our 30th anniversary. We've been celebrating all year. And the township has been a member of our association since 1995. So we really appreciate the support of the township, the support of more than 150 local and regional public and private sector entities that comprise of our partnership association. And on behalf of the Partnership Board of Directors, I'd like to present this plaque of appreciation.
Thank you so much, Jackie. This is so nice. Okay. They're obviously having a better time out there. Sorry, everybody. All right. Moving on to public comments. Please state your name and if you are a resident or non-resident when you come to the mic. Thank you for respecting the 5-minute rule and practicing decorum. Our goal is to always give you the most complete and correct answers to your questions from our staff who are experts in each of their areas. For that reason, you have the option of enclosing your email address in the registry if you'd like us to reach out to you during the week with a full answer to your questions. First up for public comment this evening is Fred Hankin.
Fred Hankin, 802 Clover Drive. Right. Hearing issues, I think. So first of all, I just wanted to make a comment, and that's really all I'm here for. I actually attended the zero waste presentation last week. There's about 12, 14, 15 people there. It was quite interesting, actually. I've always had a little place in my heart for reusing and so forth and so on. I still have my first Earth Day pin. I don't know if anyone remembers Earth Day, but I went to Fairmount Park that day and they bussed us over and they had a whole celebration. It was really pretty cool. But But during that presentation last week, I got thinking back on a conversation I had about a year ago in this room regarding resident yard waste. And as I recall, that we have an ordinance that requires trash haulers to notify residents of people's yard waste. And I got thinking about this even more because I live across the other side of Shear Street, and there's these huge, huge piles of leaves that are probably eventually going to wind up in a landfill. And this young lady who gave this presentation was talking, everything that goes on landfill stays there forever and ever. And I'm just hoping that perhaps the township might, if there is an ordinance to do so, maybe next year we have these waste haulers notify residents of when they can collect this waste so that we can at least try to reduce our footprint and compost accordingly. Thank you.
Fred, I do know that Megan has reached out. Megan, do you want to speak about reaching out to the trash haulers?
Yeah, I'm going to sit down. I just was making a comment, but I'm more.
Oh, okay.
I
Do you want to hear?
get engaged so much as I just wanted to.
Oh, okay.
But sure.
Okay. Megan, go ahead and tell us about what.
The township does send letters to waste haulers every year, reminding them of our ordinance and letting them know that they are required to notify residents, letting them know what pickup days they have in the spring and the fall. So that is something that the township does every year, reminding the trash haulers.
Right.
They used to pick up many years.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, but we definitely try to stay on top of
But I guess
letting them know.
hoping that maybe next year that they'll actually do notify us. I know I'm not saying you're not trying.
Yeah.
Sorry, not.
That's okay. I mean, Fred, we also looked into actually having the leaves taken away to paying for a service to do that, and the bids were just astronomical.
Yeah, and we had this
You remember that?
conversation before,
Okay.
I recall. And I drive a lot in my business, and I see other township, East Norton, West Norton, Upper Dublin. They pick up leaves, Hatfield, where my daughter lives. And
Hatfield's bid came in about $200,000 less than ours. I have no idea why. Just
and
saying.
again,
They get a great deal on
It's
leaf
just a public
collection.
comment, that's all.
I know, but I want you to understand that if we could pay the same price that Hatfield pays or one of those other communities, we would definitely be doing it. But our or less, our cost was astronomical.
Again, I'm just making a comment. I
Okay.
wasn't.
It is something that we're going to keep our eye on, and in
Appreciate it.
so many
Thank you.
years, we'll revisit it for sure. Thanks, Fred. Does anyone else want to make a public comment that didn't have time to register? Okay, great. Well, then let's move on past public comments to item number 10. Our consent items. Is there a motion to approve consent items A through D? There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call? Okay.
President Hall,
Aye.
Vice President Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. It's that time of year again. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 24-2023, appointing Maley LLP as the township's independent auditor for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next up is the homestead exemption for 2024. Is there a motion to pass Resolution 25-2023, which provides for a $30,000 reduction in property owner's primary residence assessed value in computation of township real estate tax for 2024?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Last month, we approved the bids for the new entry system in our township building. This will both secure and upgrade our office space. This portion of the project is being purchased through a CoStarz quote. Is there a motion to approve the proposal from Corporate Interiors for the building renovations project in the amount of $81,562.54 via CoStarz? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I will now turn the meeting over to Commissioner Carter.
Thank you. We have the approval of the memo of understanding for Bus Patrol America. I want to read briefly the memo from Chief Duffy asking for us to requesting for us to sign the memo of understanding. The Bus Patrol America is a private company that provides equipment and technology to detect school bus red light vehicle violations. The company enters into an agreement with municipalities and school districts to split the money generated from violation issues with no cost to the municipality. The MOU has been vetted through our solicitor's office, and some area municipalities have recently signed off on it. Chief Duffy believes this MOU and using this system will help improve bus and traffic safety in the township. That's the most important. I'm very excited about this, and I'm hoping as I drive around, especially as I've said to Chief Duffy over and over again, I don't know if any of you drive around Corpus Christi and what's the elementary school there? Gwynedd Square. But they just never stop for the school buses. And parents, well, I shouldn't say parents, but they just rush right through it. I'm hoping a stop sign will be there soon. But I'm very happy about the approval for this memo of understanding, and hopefully it's going to work like the Chief Duffy explained. It's going to work like the red light when they catch people running through red lights. It's going to catch them running through and catching the school buses and not stopping for the students on the school buses. So I'm hoping this will help. So with that approval.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner Carter. Next, we have a presentation from the Wawa at Valley Forge team. Take it away.
We're back.
Hi.
Oh, color pictures.
Good evening, Kristen Pianzio from Hamburg, Rubin, Mullen, Maxwell, and Lupin. I'm here with my team again. We were here last week. We're back. We understand that there were some questions and concerns that we thought we could address this evening before you consider the resolution that's on your agenda. Bruce Goodman is here with me, as is Matt Hammond from TPD. Sean Munns is our civil engineer, should you have questions for them. Matt does have some traffic data that I understand was requested that we bring with us tonight, so he's ready and prepared as usual. So starting here, I have 5 slides. This is the view of the existing center from Summeytown Pike. This is the existing driveway. As a reminder, the strip center contains approximately 21,265 square feet. The Wawa, which is the only business in the center, is about 4,830 square feet. The proposal is, as you know, to raise the center and the existing buildings and redevelop it into a Wawa store of 5,330 square feet with gas pumps. The property is about 4.1 acres. It currently has 64% impervious coverage. When we're done with the redevelopment, it will be reduced to 47.9. This is the view as after the development of the same view along Summeytown Pike. As you can see, the Wawa structure is there in the background. To the right is the canopy. It's an A-frame canopy over 8 pumps containing 16 fuel positions because you can be on each side. Next slide, please. This is the view from Valley Forge Road. Next slide, please. This is the same view, a little down a little bit, showing the redeveloped property. You can see the canopy A-frame in the foreground the landscaping, the right in, right out driveway with the building in the back. The Wawa structure itself has a front door only, doesn't have the double access with the rear. The rear is really only for the loading area. Next slide is our colored rendering, which I hope is going to get better. There we go. Okay. Whoo! Thank you. But the laser doesn't work. That's the only downside. So this is the view from Valley Forge Road. You can see the canopy in the front, the Wawa store in the back. Notice the rear portion of our property is significantly green. We do have a stream along the rear property line. It does traverse the back corner. There is a floodplain line, but we are well out of the floodplain area. We are not encroaching that. We are not encroaching any buffer areas. We have stormwater management facilities. We have no zoning violations for the bulk criteria. What we did add, there was some questions last time we were here about pedestrian access for the students at the high school. We recognize that a lot of the students already come to the site because the Wawa is there. The gas isn't going to promote those pedestrians any more than this. It will be a brand new store. So there are sidewalks along the Sumney Town frontage, and if I could point, right at the bottom where it connects, the white corner is North Penn Auto. So right above it is where thank you, Matt. Matt's going to point for me. Okay, so that's the sidewalk. We're going to bring sidewalk inside. There's a ramp, handicap ramp, and then we have provided crosswalks, painted areas on the driveway access to bring pedestrians to the store in sort of a safe haven area so that they have a designated walkway. The other thing that you requested of us was to look into a bike rack. And since we were able to come back, we can do that. We provided the bike rack. It's at the top portion where the sidewalk comes in off of Sumney Town. The grades, we don't want people on their bikes driving down into the site. So we pulled the bike rack up higher where Bruce is pointing, but Matt's going to reach it. Thanks, Matt. Right over there. Yeah. So basically getting the bikers off the sidewalk onto the property, safe place so they can get off their bikes and
Excellent.
walk the rest of the way.
Thank
We
you
don't
for
want
thinking
them
that
riding
through.
down and putting the bike rack next to the building.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So the Norway blue spruce, in the Environmental Advisory Committee's review letter, they recommended that we not use them because remember I said they're not your native species. We wanted to use them to change it up a little. We have agreed to get rid of the Norway spruce, use only your native species that are in that review letter. The only comment in the EAC letter that we would like some forgiveness of, they asked us to consider a minimum shade tree caliper inch of 3.5 inches. Your code requires 2.5. There's a reason for that. We consulted with our landscape architect. He said the younger trees have a better ability to be transplanted. They go into shock, so to speak, and that they can thrive at a faster rate and more safely than the larger trees. So they actually recommend a 2.5 inch caliper tree as opposed to 3.5 inches. Other than that, it's a will comply. So we asked for that only variation. But
Great. Thank you.
yeah, that's a
Change it
summary
all
of what we've done, what we can do. If you have any questions, everybody's here. Of course, Matt has all the traffic data should you want further information.
Well, I appreciate the pedestrians because that's the question I kept asking, but you guys didn't seem to understand what I was saying last week.
I felt your vibe. So we did
appreciate
have
it.
safe havens in pieces, but not a complete path, which I think you were looking for to get the
Right.
students from the sidewalk to the front door. So
Right.
we
Because as I
filled
said,
in the gaps.
they don't really pay attention, but at least we would have it there because they do hang out there at the Wawa.
And it should help alert the motorists that that is a place for pedestrians, that they should go slower because the crosswalks will be visible on the ground. So hopefully it'll create a safe space for them.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there going to be certain times when the fuel trucks can be there, or can they be there anytime, 24/7?
Let's see, handle that one. You want to do that one, Matt? Sure. No, there aren't any.
Good evening.
Hi.
So based on my experience in working on these type of facilities, the fuel truck deliveries occur on an as-needed basis. What they try to do is they try to avoid the peak time periods when the store is experiencing high volumes, AM, midday, PM peak hours. But it's basically an automated system. So when the tanks get to a certain level, the supplier is notified, and then they route a truck to the store to provide for the fuel. But they do try their best to minimize being on site during those peak periods.
And I went through the traffic report and correct me if I'm wrong, because it might be my reading of it. It appears that the highest peak of increase in traffic would be in the AM during the weekday. And then it sort of goes down at the peak PM, and then actually it's on the negative side on Saturday because there's less travel for some reason. If I read that correctly. So my question is, especially in the morning with the peak hours in the morning, where you have people who would use the side streets to do the cutoffs and to avoid getting down on Town Pike, basically, or getting to Valley Forge Road, is there any kind of mitigation efforts? Because I read something that you're going to work with the township about the strategies to help people not go through roads like Clearview and maybe reroute them to Supplee to get back to Valley Forge Road. I don't know if any of that's been done yet.
So to answer your first question about the traffic and the peak period, so the AM has been traditionally the peak period for these type of uses, more concentrated during that time in the morning. The afternoon, you experience less traffic because it's a little bit more spread out. Saturday, there's still traffic that's added to the roadway network. So I don't know where you may have seen there's a decrease in traffic.
Yeah,
there's still an addition of traffic on Saturday.
And I misread that. Okay.
So there's, with the use, there will be some addition, keeping in mind the fact that the Wawa exists today, the gasoline's being added. So with respect to the traffic patterns and the discussion or comment about Clearview, what we discussed with the county, I think I mentioned at the meeting last week, we're dealing with 3 separate entities from an approval perspective. We have the township, obviously. We have Montgomery County because of Town Pike, and we have PennDOT because of Valley Forge Road. And one of the comments that was made during the process was because the driveways are being minimized from a movement perspective, from a right-in, right-out, or to a right-in, right-out on Valley Forge Road into a right-in, right-out, left-in only on Town Pike, that if vehicles chose to cut through Clearview to access Valley Forge Road or Town Pike, is it possible that the applicant, the developer, could work with the township and maybe Montgomery County Roads and Bridges on placing some sort of signs at the entrance of Clearview? And I apologize, I forget where it ends up in on Valley Forge Road, what the name of the street is there.
Jack's Lane.
Yes, thank you, Jack. So providing signage there, talking about local traffic only. I mean, it would be a pretty significant distance out of their way for someone to go to a convenience store. And it's only due to the fact that there is no left out to get you back, assuming Valley Forge Road is east-west, get you back to the eastbound direction. I would say that most of the people that come to these type of facilities are aware of the constraints with respect to access and get used to it. But we'd be more than willing to provide that type of signage at Jack's and at Clearview just to talk about local traffic only.
Andrew?
Did you have another question?
One more thing. I know, because you talked about, I'm fine, because you talked about the bump outs last week, the channeled, you talked about the channel last week, they're going in one ways. That's on Valley Forge Road, I believe. Both, I think.
So there's
medians.
You're talking about the pork chops in the driveways to channelize. So there's one in Valley Forge Road to restrict the lefts in and lefts out.
Can you slide that back down, Megan, please?
So there's,
The other way.
okay, it's easier.
Actually, it's easier on a color one so we can see it. No, not that one. Keep going up. Yep, that one.
That one.
This is showing that Porktop Island, restricting the lefts in and lefts out. There's also one in Valley, Town Pike to restrict the lefts out.
Is there going to be signage there that says that? There is signage,
Yeah,
okay.
there's not, I mean,
This one is the right in, right out.
it's Valley Forge Road with the right in, right out. And both of those driveways are being designed per PennDOT and county standards, which include signage, striping, and the like.
And then on Sumney Town, so Sumney Town, you are going to have a left in, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that'll be a source of congestion.
But it's already.
That left in exists today, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a dedicated left turn lane today that we're going to continue to utilize.
But with the excess traffic coming in, it'll be more traffic there going in.
So sure, there'll be a little bit more traffic. Keep in mind, again, this is an existing Wawa facility. And at some point in the past, this was a thriving shopping center with all of the various storefronts being occupied. So there was additional traffic entering and exiting this property with two full access driveways, which at times can be, a safety issue regarding the traffic that backs up. So I think we've made some concessions with respect to access to try to improve the safety. And like I said, traffic study shows there'll be some added traffic to the railway network, but the bulk of the traffic is already there today.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Liz?
I know there's some residents in the room now that live in that area, and there will be a time for them to ask. We'll have time for them to ask questions, right?
Do you have any questions?
No, I just want to hear what the residents who would be on Clearview, if they have what their concerns, if any, are. And I think working with us on that would, with the signage would be helpful. But I just, I don't live there, so I want to make sure that people that do live there are comfortable with what we're.
So was there someone who had a question? Can you come to the mic and just state your name and your address? Pardon me?
They need the microphone.
We can't hear you on the Zoom, people, because we have a huge Zoom following.
I was watching you and I saw you nodding and going confused, so I thought, this is your first meeting, so I wanted to make sure that you knew when to talk. So go ahead.
You just say your.
Kratz. I live on Clear Brook Road down right off from Clearview. I'm looking at this picture right here. Is there going to be any sidewalks on the Sunnytown Pike side?
Yes.
Yes, there'll be sidewalks on the frontage of both Sunnytown Pike as well as the Valley Forge Road.
And will there be any access to go over the creek on this side?
We are not proposing to provide any sort of access over the creek.
That's pretty much it. Answer my question.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Microphone. The Zoomers want to know.
Hi, I'm kind of standing in for William Jackson, who's a Upper Gwynedd Township
yes.
resident tonight because he
Yes.
can't be here. And I do believe he would be a little concerned to learn more about the type of bike rack that will be installed here because they range so greatly in terms of style, size, and security is always a big issue to make sure that the bike is going to be able to be kept securely when it's left out of range of view going into the store. So if there's any way for him to have input, perhaps if that's required, I'm sure he'd be happy to do so.
Thanks, Jackie. Actually, he was the person that commented about the bike rack last meeting. Are you guys willing to work with us on
Sure.
that? Okay.
Of course.
Thank you.
Great. Did anybody else have a question? Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Okay. So I am now going to.
You know what, though? I'm sorry.
Oh,
You
go
said
ahead.
you had an update on traffic that we had asked about, traffic report?
No, just that Matt was willing to talk about it. You have all the reports.
Yes. Was there anything that residents that you want to kind of highlight again about the traffic with that in that area as far as peak hours and things like that? I know we have people watching tonight that wanted to hear again about summary of the traffic report, peak hours, non-peak hours, things like that.
Sure. So a traffic study has been completed. Actually, a number of traffic studies have been completed with respect to the site. The latest one being dated June of this past year. That traffic study is based on traffic counts that were conducted during those peak periods. The AM peak hour is typically the one highest hour of traffic. It falls between 7 and 9 a.m. The PM peak hour, which is the one highest hour of traffic, that falls between 4 and 6 p.m. And then the Saturday midday, which is typically the one highest hour of traffic, that falls between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.
So residents will avoid it during those hours. Thank you. That's all I had. No, I was just, I read through everything, and I had gotten some questions about peak hours and when that is, and high school and all of the hours with traffic. So residents will know that area.
Yeah, just keep in mind that's not necessarily the peak. It's not the peak due to the Wawa. That's the peak of traffic that's on the roadway today. So that's what occurs on any given day today and any day prior and any day in the future. The Wawa being its convenience store, it's highly dependent on the traffic on the roadway. So therefore, if the peak hours of traffic, 7 to 9 and 4 to 6, 11 and 1, that's when you typically see the peaks at the Wawa, because it's dependent a lot on the transient traffic, just as it is today as well. You'll probably see those same peaks at that existing Wawa today.
And I did have one more question. I just thought about it. In that study, what kind of margin of error is in that kind of a study, like a plus or minus 2% with the different proposals, with the different estimates?
It's tough. It's tough to answer just because it's not an exact science. But one of the things that we're required to do, or a number of things that we're required to do when preparing the study, is try to be conservative as possible. So it's not just being conservative on one aspect. So, for instance, it's not just being conservative trying to determine the amount of traffic the site will generate, but it's being conservative in terms of the amount of traffic on the roadway. It's being conservative in the trip distributions. It's being conservative in many other aspects, so that when you add all of them together in the study, you've tried to be extremely conservative, keeping in mind that the traffic study is really only meant to look at the peak traffic, assuming that the rest of the time traffic will work. So keeping all of that in mind, it's a conservative estimate. It's not exact. It's not perfect. But over the course of my 29 years of doing this, I think we've done, or we as an industry have tried to do a pretty good job of anticipating the future to the best of our ability and providing for improvements to accommodate not only what it will look like the day it opens, but it will look like 5 years from now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay. So we're good on questions. No one else has any. All right. Excellent. So I am going to turn it over to our solicitor, Lauren Gallagher.
Thank you, President Hull. There is a resolution in the board's packets this evening. It will need to be adjusted based on some of the representations from the applicant, and there is a question that the board's going to have to answer should the land development be approved this evening. The resolution will have to be adjusted regarding the addition of the bike racks and the pedestrian access. It will also be adjusted regarding the signage to be placed on Jack's Lane and Clearview Avenue, I believe. We'll say Clearview. We'll figure out the designation. And we'll also add language regarding the working with the township regarding the bike rack. What the board will have to decide should the land development resolution be approved this evening is whether the township will require a 3.5-inch caliper tree recommended by the EAC, or if the township will agree to the 2.5-inch caliper tree requested by the applicant. Other than that, everything is in a form ready for consideration this evening, and we will just adjust the resolution accordingly following the board's action this evening.
Just a caveat on that tree caliper, the applicant is meeting our code. The EAC, not to diminish the EAC's recommendations, but they are just advisory, so the applicant is meeting the requirement.
Okay. So, question? Yeah. Okay, so is it enough that when we say the motion, we can say the generic words, allow for the allowances stated by you? Is that enough?
You can approve, there'll be a motion, assuming that the motion is to approve the resolution, it'll be a motion to approve the resolution as described by the solicitor with the 2.5-inch caliber tree or 3.5-inch caliber tree. Ms. Pianzio, any objection to that?
I would say so moved with the 2.5-inch caliper tree.
Okay. Do any of my board members have a problem, first of all, with the 2.5 caliber tree?
I do not.
No.
Okay, you got the 2.5 caliber tree.
Great.
Okay, so that being said, and please jump in if this motion is incorrect. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 26-2023, preliminary final land development approval for Wawa at Valley Forge Road as described by the solicitor?
So moved.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any more board comments? Do we have any more public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Reluctantly, aye. Yes.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I make a statement.
Please.
First of all, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. I did have questions, and thank you for answering them. And you have to excuse my voice because I have a cold. It's not COVID, it's a cold. So this project I really wrestled with because we have, and probably more than a lot of the issues that have come before this board in the last 4 years that I've been here and served the residents of Upper Gwynedd. 4 years ago, I ran with Ruth, who's not here tonight, Catherine, and myself. And one of our campaign promises was that we were going to improve that Wawa property because it was a blight, and we wanted to improve all the blighted properties here in Upper Gwynedd. And we wanted to make it more pleasing to the eye, more productive and useful for the people of our township so that they can enjoy the property. I do hope by approving this project that we can accomplish that. But I do still have reservations about the increased traffic and the associated safety issues attached to the project. However, I am going to put my trust in the wisdom and the expertise of our zoning hearing board and the planning commission, both of which unanimously approved this. And I also trust the traffic engineers because I thought the traffic report was really very good. And I read that. I did read it backwards and forward, actually. And that's why I was a reluctant yes on the vote. And I just hope that the project, when it comes to fruition, does come and become what we've looked at and is a benefit to the township. So thank you.
You're welcome. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Every project I work on with Bruce is top notch. So I'm certain that'll be the same here in Upper Gwynedd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 16. I am now going to turn it over to Solicitor Lauren Gallagher again.
Thank you, President Hull. This is another land development application. The applicant was here with their attorney last week describing the preliminary plan approval. The resolution has been amended to reflect that it is for preliminary approval only. So the first waiver request listed in the board packet has been removed and withdrawn. The resolution is otherwise in a form ready for the board's consideration this evening, and the applicant's engineer is here if there are any questions regarding the project.
Okay, before we move on, are there any questions from the board regarding the project? Okay, great. Are there any questions from the public? Okay. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 27-2023, preliminary land development approval for 212 Church Road?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
A motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I will now turn the meeting. You're welcome. I will now turn the meeting over to Commissioner McNaney.
Thank you. Megan, will you click on number 17? This is what I was talking to some residents earlier this evening, and I was explaining how we do the agendas and what the items in blue and how they can click that on at their leisure at home and read more about what we're approving. And that goes for everything that's on the agenda that's been in blue. So this is just a little memo that's attached to it. It's a way for us to be transparent and let everyone see budget impacts or how we're spending their money, what have you. So I just wanted to point that out before I began. So back to the agenda. Item number 17 is a motion to authorize the advertisement of the 2024 roads program. So I make a motion to authorize the advertisement.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Next, item number 18 is a motion to approve Resolution 28-2023, a grant application to PICO Green Region Open Space Program for the Hartley Drive Meadow Conversion Project in the amount of $10,000. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Next is a motion, number 19 is a motion to approve Resolution 29-2023, grant application to local share account, the LSA, for the Sumneytown Pike Pedestrian Bridge Relocation Project in the amount of $528,208.64. What that one is the bridge that's by the, I know we've said this a couple times, but I'll say it once more. The bridge, the little pedestrian bridge, not little, between the Royal Farms and the Boston Style Market, that will be moved up Sumneytown Pike to cross over the little bridge, the little creek area up by the Weiss Market. So it will just be moved up Sumneytown Pike, still stay on the same side, because right now there's no sidewalk or anything there. So this will be a safe way for pedestrians to get across that way. So when it was suggested to us by the county that we could relocate it and repurpose it, we thought it would be a good idea to do that. So I make a motion to approve Resolution 29-2023.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner McNaney. I'll now give the floor to Commissioner Simulero.
Thank you. We have number 20, we have a motion to authorize the advertisement of ordinance 2023-06 sewer rates for 2024. I believe Sandra discussed this last week at the presentation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Number 21, we have the motion to approve change order number 1 to the Geiger invoice for additional electric work for SCADA in the amount of $7,147.25. And this SCADA system is a distributed computer system that's used by operations at the wastewater treatment plant for the management for process monitoring and automation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Number 22, we have a motion to approve change order number 2 to the Geiger invoice for the removal of malfunctioning gates in the amount of $8,050.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Number 23, we have a motion to approve the final payment to Geiger for clarifier number 3, including change orders number 1 and number 2, in the amount of $313,197.25.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall?
Aye.
Vice President Carter?
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney?
Aye.
Commissioner Simularo?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Number 24, we have a motion to approve the purchase of 2 new stainless steel gates from Sherwood Logan in the amount of $21,765.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public do we have any public comments?
I should have asked earlier. Number 22 and now number 24, are those the gates, Sandra, that were shown in the picture that were corroded?
Yeah.
One of the big.
You think? These are for clarifier 3. I think the gates that I showed in the budget request were aeration tank gates. We have a lot of gates. I can check with Dan. I don't have the whole wastewater treatment plant
Well,
in the brain,
Number-
but I can get you the answer.
22, it said malfunctioning. So then I thought, well, maybe that's the same one.
So the ones that you saw in the picture were eroded but not malfunctioning. These are malfunctioning. So
Do we have any
I
public?
will get you the answer on that, Commissioner Carter.
Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall?
Aye.
Vice President Carter?
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney?
Aye.
Commissioner Simularo?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Number 25, we have the motion to approve PAC2's CoStar's proposal for influence screen and pipe work in the amount of $16,983.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Number 26, we have a motion to approve BSI Electrical Contractors CoStar's proposal for influence screens upgrade project in the amount of $24,940.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The next motion is to approve BSI Electrical Contractors CoStar proposal for the influent distribution box upgrades in the amount of $8,485.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
For Sandra.
Okay, go ahead.
And just for my own education, the roll call for number 24, that was 21,765. How come you didn't have to do a roll call for 26 when it was more?
Because item 26 is an approval of a proposal and item 24 is approval of a payment. Am I right, Solicitor Gallagher?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we do it by roll call when we're actually spending money. We're not actually spending the money yet. We're just we're approving the proposal. Bit of a nuance.
Thank you.
Great.
That was easier for me to answer than a question about gates in the process.
Thank you, Commissioner Simularo. We're going to move on to our open and paid invoices. Do we have a motion to approve the November 2023 open invoices?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall?
Aye.
Vice President Carter?
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney?
Aye.
Commissioner Simularo?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Do we have a motion to approve the November 2023 paid invoices?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall,
Aye.
Vice President Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Simulera.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Does anyone on the board have anything else this evening?
Yes, I have two quick things.
Okay.
One is on the 29th at 6:30 next week, on the 29th at 6:30 in this room. We will have the Park and Rec Master Plan meeting for the public that we hope that they will attend. This is the first one that we'll be having. Again, that's Wednesday, the 29th at 6:30 in this room, and followed by Friday, December 1st, starting at 6, the Holiday Lights event that we have. And you might have noticed a few little lights that were shining when you pulled in today. There'll be more, and that will be the Friday, the 1st, starting at 6. So we hope to see a lot of our friends and family and residents there for that event. It's always a nice event that night. That's all.
Thanks. Commissioner Simulero, did you say you had something? Oh, sorry.
No, I just want to wish everyone in Upper Gwinnett and here a happy Thanksgiving. And enjoy your family and friends and enjoy each other on this holiday of Thanksgiving.
Great sentiment. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Meeting is adjourned.